From Carolla One Studios in Glendale, California, this is the Adam Carolla Show. Adam's guest today, the senior consultant to the National Popular Vote Campaign, Pat Rosenstiel. We'll play a spirited round of Mr. Brightside, plus we got Gina Grad on news and Bald Bryan on sound effects, and now he has a healthcare plan, jump in cold pools, and steal cashews from pigeons. Adam Carolla.
Yeah, get it on. Got to get on. No choice but get on. You mandate you get it on, man. Thanks for tuning in, and thanks for telling a friend. We love that about you, right, Gina Grad?
That's right.
And Bald Bryan.
People hate you.
Hey, Max Zapata, I left my white buck slip out there, I think, on the table. It's got some notes of stuff I want to talk about today. One of them was just something that's been a reoccurring theme in my life, and I want to see if we can drill down on it a little, which is my communication with people is somewhere between 0 and -7. Like the things I say
You
are
think it's as high as 0?
Yeah. Well, again, that's
He has to give a range.
yes, that's a margin of error. So things like I have these little things like Saturday night I went out to a Mexican food place. As you guys know, I like to order. I'll order like a double skinny margarita. All right, is that you
As
have
we
my
know.
you have my buck slip, my white buck slip?
You brought it. You brought your phone book.
All right, it's a white buck slip.
Wait, I'm sorry.
That's all I'm asking for.
It's probably you brought a Dr. Spaz.
Well, anyway,
pile of papers.
It's happened in the last 26 seconds, which is beautiful. I need my white buck slip. I got every notepad I've ever written on, which is fine. But I need the white buck slip. You don't have to.
I just wanted to ask Bethany Frankel why he was such a big fan of skinny margaritas. He said, as you know.
Man show, huh?
Yeah, Mr. He's a real housewife. I love that it was as you know.
I hate to admit it, but I do the skinny margaritas as well. I don't call them skinny margaritas, but
The
let's
skinny
face
bitch.
facts.
Skinny bitch margs.
It kind of is what it is.
But if you have two,
All right.
why don't you have one good
Sorry,
one?
I'm
I
back.
should ask him.
It's a sugar.
Quick, hey, I have a quick question for Bethany Frankel with her skinny margaritas. Would this be one of those cases where one regular good margarita equals two skinny margaritas?
I have no idea calorically how it works. I am, by the way, white buck slip sitting on top of my computer in front of Gary. All right, now, but not with my other papers.
Oh, we're still okay.
All right, so I don't like. There's the thing I don't like is sort of syrupy, gooey. You know, I hate
Mix.
big fluffy.
Yes.
I hate big fluffy drinks, and usually the skinny version is just a little less corn syrup, a little more lime or something, and it's fine. So
Triple Sec and its varietals, Cointreau, that shit, actually have a surprising number of calories in them. They're very, very sugary and sweet. It's an essential ingredient. You can get away with putting like orange extract drops, but now you're getting, I've done it, but now you're getting a little creative, you know what I mean?
I'm just trying to lessen the effect. I'm not really trying to avoid it, but
You're just trying to break the fall.
and I like the taste of tequila. I find most margaritas are a little overpowered by the margarita, and I don't get the tequila. So when I go out to a Mexican food place, I go, give me a skinny margarita, make it a double, and then I hold both hands up and I go, put it in a small glass. I don't want a big tub of corn syrup.
Oh, the big schooner.
Yeah, it becomes like a highball cocktail to me. I get a small glass. I can taste the tequila in it. I like the salt on the rim, and it's just less volume of this goo. And I do it every time, and I hold both hands up and I go, put it in a small glass, and then they just bring me a giant tumbler of it, and then sometimes I drink it, and other times as they're setting it down, I go, take it back. And they go, what? I go, remember I said a small glass? And the guy will just turn around and walk away with it, rub one out in it, blow a snot rocket in it, and then just dump half of what I already paid for in a smaller glass, I'm sure. But anyway, that was Saturday night. And then Sunday when we were watching football, we were ordering sandwiches from Giamello's, and I wanted
love Gemelas.
I do. I did. I mean, I do too. I wanted the Philly cheesesteak, and I kept saying provolone. I want provolone. I want
no
provolone.
Whiz.
I want no whiz. I want the provolone. I love provolone. Mm-hmm. I want the onions and the grilled onions and the grilled peppers, whatever. I said the word provolone 128 times. Of course, when the sandwiches came back, it was just a bun with the meat. No peppers.
You said no cheese.
No cheese. No peppers.
I didn't see coming.
No, it was just no anything. And by the way, Philly cheesesteak can go south pretty fast, minus the onions and the peppers and the provolone. So it was like, okay. I don't know what's going on with communication, but I had this winter with AV Ed. This is I have the text to read to you, and this is it's not Mike August level, but the subject that I wanted to get into really is it's not so much about communication. It's about context. I talk to Drew about this all the time. People are missing context. They're missing context. They're not able to find where this conversation is in the world. You know what I mean? I have the conversation with people all the time where they'll say something and then I'll reply and they'll go, oh, well, what are you referring to? And I have this saying, which is I'll be talking about what we're talking about. I would never just pull something out of left field. So like I'm very context oriented anyway. Small little weird context stuff. Like, so I got this condo and I'm getting the TV going up in there and some furniture up in there and working on it. And it's a 2-story condo. It's like a townhouse, but there's a pretty hefty set of stairs that go up just to get to the front door, right?
Okay.
So I tell Kevin, who's a nice kid who works for me, who's not good in the context department, I go, take this end table, bring it upstairs. Go upstairs and just put it at the landing upstairs, and I'll figure out which room to put it in. And he goes, okay. I come back, it's sitting on the first floor. Because in his mind, he went upstairs.
It's up a flight of stairs.
Right. And I'm like, Kevin, I'm not including the stairs to the front door. I'll never do that. It's insane that you're thinking that way.
And upstairs in the context of any domicile, condo or house, means on the second floor or third, I suppose, but you would specify that.
In his world, he's standing out in the driveway, and I say upstairs, and he goes up a set of stairs and puts it down.
Went up the stairs.
Yeah, later.
Beat you on a technicality, man.
I also had an insane contextual conversation with him a week ago, which is we're painting the place. And as you all know, I'm employing Ozzy, but it's a little mercy mission, you know? And I said...
I get it.
So I go, he's at my house, right? He's in the truck at my house. I go, okay, leave my house. Go to the warehouse where all the guys are. Get the guys, put them in the truck, go to Malibu. Now, leave Ozzy behind and tell Ozzy to clean that warehouse top to bottom. Blow it out, start high, go down low. Been doing a lot of work in there. Just tell him to clean it top to bottom. You guys hop in the truck. I'll see you in Malibu. Pull up in Malibu. Guys are out, looking good. Get out of the car. Around the corner comes Ozzy. I go, wait, I thought we were leaving you behind. He goes, no, take it. I go, Kevin, I told you leave Ozzy behind, have him blow out the warehouse and just clean the whole thing top to bottom. 7,000 square foot. He goes, oh, you didn't tell me to leave him behind. I said, but what did I tell you? He said, you said to tell Ozzy to clean the whole place top to bottom.
He's gonna clean it with like a room, like a drone remotely.
Does he have a holodeck?
I said, Kevin, how could you pull up in a truck and have everyone jump in and leave for Malibu? How would the one guy clean the whole place top to bottom if you didn't leave him behind? How could that be an instruction? You know what I mean? Like his thing was, I didn't hear the part where you didn't say, where you said leave behind. I didn't hear that part. I was like, but you heard
Isn't
the part where I said
in the instruction?
clean top to bottom. He literally didn't shut the truck. He pulled in, everyone jumped in, and they left. Again, that makes me an insane person. If everyone is getting in the truck and you give someone a 9-hour job, except for they just pile in the truck and you leave. So his thing was, I didn't hear the left behind part. My thing, context. Context. How could you clean the place top to bottom when you're just picking up these guys and heading to Malibu? So,
was there an answer satisfying or not?
There's never a good answer.
On.
There's never a good answer.
But I said satisfying or not. What was his response?
Mm-hmm.
Was he just like, you got it, boss?
All right.
Not.
So now I got a text with from AV Ed, which is it's good for AV Ed. It's not in Mike August's top 10, but it may crack it. I don't.
This ought to be interesting because Ed's one of the sharpest guys I know, and by that I mean he's precise. Fucking guy installs multi-million-dollar, entertainment systems in celebrities' houses.
He does. So I had a long conversation with him, or a thorough conversation with him at football on Sunday, which was, as you hear this, yesterday. And I said to him, hey, the condo, what do we got there? And he goes, you don't have DirecTV there. You're going to be on cable there.
Okay.
Cable is not DirecTV. It's different, but you'll figure it out. So I said, oh, so no DirecTV. No, you're on cable. Then I started talking to him about HDMI hookups and blah, blah, blah. So what I got is I got a computer and I got a big TV and I got no cable hookup. And, for me, that's my heroin. I can't stay in a place with no cable,
I was about to say you could watch almost anything through that computer on the TV, but then I remember it's you. And
right.
So one could. So.
Well, these guys started filling my head with fanciful lies, going, if you get an HDMI cable and you hook it to your computer, then you can just hook it to the TV. And I said, that sounds good. And the Mac Air Book Lite, whatever, doesn't have the HDMI, but Chris gets me the adapter. By the way, I need the long cord Maxipata that we use, I guess, when we go on the road. So I wake up this morning. Now I have no control over where's the cable guy, who's booking the cable guy, who the hell knows. It's a pain in the ass. But I wake up this morning and I say to myself, I get that TV sitting over there up on the wall. I get my long HDMI cable from Maxipata. He gave me the adapter, and then I can watch you bring a trailer on, so I can watch whatever's on my computer. All right, that'll work. So I wake up this morning, and at 7:52, I send the following text to AV Ed.
Okay.
Now keep in mind, we had a long talk about you don't have DirecTV, you do have cable. And when I was saying, how do I get the cable guy out? He was like, I don't know. You got to talk to so-and-so and so-and-so and book that. My question, can I watch my computer on the TV with the HDMI cord even if the cable isn't hooked up?
Okay. Makes sense.
Straightforward.
He says no.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Now I'm thinking, fuck that Maxipata and Gary telling me I can watch what's on the fucking computer. So he says no, and I'm thinking, what is going on? Like, why can't I do it? And then he says, wait, like cable TV?
Yeah.
Or the cable to the computer.
Then yes.
Okay.
And then he points out that HDMI is a cable. Now, first off, I said, can I watch my computer on TV with the HDMI cord even if the cable is right? So
yeah, you already differentiated.
You should not imply that I'm not going to plug the cord into the TV set.
Yep, it's the first thing I thought
It should be no. But what I'm saying, context.
52 in the morning?
7:50. All right. This is an extreme example, but still context. It's context.
Yep.
I don't have cable. I'm trying to get something going over there, and I did. And HDMI is a cable. Mm-hmm. It is a cable, but I said HDMI and cable hooked up.
Yeah, you said cord and cable. If you said cord and cable, then it should be. Yeah.
Right.
This is why he came back with, wait a minute.
It's not even implied. You did the only thing you could do.
Now, listen, I'm sure he's in a hurry, and I'm sure he's doing something more important. I'm just saying, I'm thinking a lot about context these days. Like, this was pretty straightforward, but it was also in a setting of me saying to him 18 hours ago, I need cable. I got to get the cable guy out to the house. So he knew I didn't have it. Mm-hmm. And
it's a continuation of the conversation.
It's a continuation of the conversation. Yes.
A small yes and example of that is I needed my mom to notarize something of hers and send it to me. And with talk to text or autocorrect, whatever, it came, I accidentally sent her, can you get this motorized? And I got a question mark back when we were talking about notarizing. So I hear ya. People aren't always paying attention.
Now, I'm wondering if the video games and the virtual world is removing a context. Because the context is something it's pretty analog. Like, it's pretty old school, and it's pretty there. Now, there's a distraction level. People are looking at their phone or they're multitasking or whatever, and that's going to hurt. But, like, listening with context, listening and knowing things about the person and the conversation and the direction this is going, not in a bubble. Because I feel like a lot of the conversations I have with people, they don't know who I am. They don't know what I'm asking. Like, I would never say X, Y, and Z. I would never say that. I would never imply that. So, and maybe it's a news thing. Maybe it's a New World Order thing. Maybe it's a Twitter thing. Maybe there's too many short bursts, but I do feel like context is something people are missing these days.
Well, when you talk about nuance, I think the way we communicate, like you said, it's text, it's, short, it's clipped. And when we're not having real-time conversations anymore, either face-to-face or on the phone, what chance is there to practice our nuance?
Yeah, I agree.
And context.
I remember.
And like your experience of that, like Gina, you and I, not you and I, but independently, you and I pick up conversations on text the next day. You know what I mean? As though like we're still talking. So yeah, there's a lot of out of context that's still kind of in context. You expect people to understand.
Well, think about what the news cycle is like. It's kind of all out of context now. It's just a kind of gotcha. He said, she said.
Oh my God. Twitter's every Twitter clip is out of context.
Right. So maybe there's a war on context, and maybe it's something we're losing. It's a war we're losing, sort of as a civilization. I don't know why this one always popped in my head, but I had a guy work for me, and I said to him, Gary, I need you to get the clear cabinet door pads. They're these little adhesive bumpers that'd be like on the inside.
So the glass doesn't shatter every time you close.
Yeah, even if it's a wooden door, it doesn't make that slam thing. So I need the clear cabinet door pads. And then I showed up a couple hours later and I was like, did you get those clear cabinet door pads? And he said, we don't have a clear cabinet. And I thought,
he got you there.
He's right, but I don't know what more I can do on my end, is what I'm saying. All right. Also, I had this thought. Sorry, Max Paddock. Can you punch the air conditioning on in here? I forgot to. I had this thought. I was dealing with a kind of new coffee maker, and I was testing it out at the condo. And I kind of realized this when Olga makes my coffee in the morning, and she fills it up, and she's like, do you want 8 cups or 12 cups? And like, I'm the only one in the house drinking coffee. Now, it feels to me like I'm drinking 3 cups, three good-sized mugs, but like 3 cups. But as I was filling this coffee machine, I just took a tumbler, put it under the filtered water thing, poured it once. I was at 9 cups, I poured again. Like, you're at 17 cups. Like, wait a minute. What is this thing where they're trying to gaslight us into thinking we're coffee junkies? This is 2 cups of water. It's 2 big cups of water, but it's still, I don't know how it translates into 13 cups of coffee. But
if anything, it should be a little less than 2 because it's filtering through the coffee. Something's going to get stuck in the coffee, obviously.
I always, it's kind of that thing where it's like you get a you get a box of cup of noodles and it says serves 11. And you're like, what? I was going to eat 3 of these. Like, it's the fucking serving size thing.
Yep.
They're in cahoots to mentally fuck us up. And same with the coffee thing. It's like, according to Mr. Coffee, I drink 13 cups of coffee every morning. According to me, I drink like 2.5 big mugs of coffee. But I don't know. I don't know what's in it for them. Maybe they want to say we have a capacity to do that.
I think you're right. I think it's serving size. Also, anyone who's ever cooked or baked has been bit by this. And I know I have multiple times. An actual teaspoon or a tablespoon you get out of your drawer is not what they mean when they say a teaspoon of salt. That's why you need measuring teaspoons, because that shit's going to be salty.
Yeah, we need to recalibrate. All right. I think I found my K Jeweler ad from yesterday.
All right.
First, I'll tell you about Stamps.com. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, when it's a new normal out there, people still need to be smart about how we do business. Luckily, Stamps.com makes things easier. I've used Stamps.com here for over 10 years. They have been with us over 10 years. We've sent out every bit of merch, books, paperwork. Whether you're a small business sending invoices, an online seller, shipping products, or just working from home, you need Stamps.com. Lets you buy and print official U.S. postage, any letter, any package, 24/7. Do it from home. 5 cents off every first-class stamp and up to 62% of a discount on USPS and UPS shipping rates. Special offer, 4-week trial, plus free postage and a digital scale. No long-term commitment. Just go to Stamps.com, click on the microphone, top of the homepage, and type in Adam. That is Stamps.com. Enter Adam. So I was explaining yesterday how we've jumped the shark in the commercial department because the K Jewelers, the wedding ring store, has got themselves a plus-size model. Hey, I ain't uptight. That's your thing. That's your thing. Everyone should be represented. I'm just saying that is probably the last domino to fall in as far as Madison Avenue in terms of first Dove soap went away from the skinny model, and many other brands have gone away from the waif model. But the engagement ring store, they stuck to their guns for the last 20 years. They have had the hot, young waif model, who's, by the way, overwhelmed that a semi-average guy wanted to marry them. But in this particular K Jeweler, we got a plumper.
Someday I'll ask you a question that will change me forever.
That was her. Not fat, but just not an engagement ring store model. So
I think by industry standards should be safely considered a plus size model.
Plus size, and that's where we're heading. Now, here's an interesting thought. I know we're all freaked out about shaming, and I know I'm the guy who believes the self-esteem movement fucked up a bunch of kids. Again, if you go back to the great Michael Strahan was a fat kid, and the reason he lost all the weight is because everyone made fun of him for being a fat kid. And then I think his brother did. Maybe he was in Germany on like a military base. Anyway, so here's the question. While people need to be represented, at what point does it just become the norm? And then when it becomes the norm, where are we? Like you take, I probably in my grade school class, there was one fat kid. The entire school. There was like one fat guy and one fat girl. You felt sorry for him, but that's what it was. I guarantee you, if I walked into fifth grade here in the San Fernando Valley and just walked into any fifth grade class, I think probably half or more of those kids would be overweight now. And it's going to lead to a lifetime of problems. We talk about, it's interesting. So as a society, we never stop talking about race, and growing up Black or growing up Latina or growing up female or growing up gay. Like, it's all we talk about. Being heavy your whole life, man, that is the worst sentence you could ever give to anybody. It affects you socially, your health, your joints, the things you can't do. You don't get to go skimboarding or zip lining, or it is so stifling, and yet it's not really something we get into. Don't you think we should get into it? This is above and beyond the Kay Jeweler commercial.
It's a lot of responsibility for Kay Jeweler.
I know. And isn't it time? I mean, especially with this COVID business, like, isn't this a good window for us to get into this stuff? And I mean, you see all these commercials out here in California, Prop 22, they want to close down the diabetes centers. So it's like, why do we have all these diabetes centers? Mm-hmm. And when I was growing up, I didn't pass any diabetes centers. I never even heard of a diabetes. When you guys were growing up, had you heard of that?
No, I didn't know what diabetes was.
I didn't know it was a thing. I certainly didn't know any 13-year-old boys who had it. Like, it's a thing now. It's on. Like, it is I would call it a national emergency. What's the plan? Who's talking about it? And it can't just be the first lady wants to plant a garden. You know what I mean? Like that.
I agree.
That just never worked. What do you think? What do you think we could do? Because when we are interested in something, we act as if, and differences are made. We try to lower carbon emissions. We get to work on it. And when we want to save water in Southern California because we're in a drought zone, like, we get to work on it. Like, we can do the things we want to do. How come nothing here? I mean, again, a couple of PSAs with an animated blue jay flying around, landing on fruit salad, saying, eat your fruits and vegetables. But really, why isn't there more about this? And what would the plan be? Gina Grad.
Well, you just reminded me, I probably never would have thought about this again. And Bryan, even though you're significantly older than me, you probably remember. Did you guys have life break in school? Where it was basically like yard time for prisoners. It wasn't recess. You would just, and I think it was a First Lady initiative.
I think it's one of those newfangled things, Gina. It wasn't my day.
Yeah, we're way too old.
It was literally like, okay, it's life break time. It was, mandated by, the White House, that all schools get involved in this thing. And you go around and they just walk you around the yard. And it was to keep kids slim and fit. And I don't think that would fly today, saying, all right, everybody get up and just give it a couple laps around the yard just to keep everybody, slim and fit. Do you think we could say that?
Well, first off, we did. There's something on Brian's screen, Max Pat. I'm not sure what it is. But
sorry, it's a fly. It has a fly flying around right here.
There you go. Yeah, it was just there was some text.
There's a pop up.
It's a pop up.
Oh.
All right.
Oh, there's literally a fly. Sorry.
Yeah, but I wouldn't. Max Pat is good.
Because it's visible. So
yeah. I asked him to get a buck slip 10 minutes ago. He showed up with a phone book.
It's all context.
What are the chances?
Contact note through your notes. Get out of here.
What are the chances he's going to fix your fly? All right. So, again, you just think about smoking. We didn't like smoking. Smoking's bad for you. We kind of got into this thing where it's like it cost us money. It costs the state money. Who's going to take care of these people? So we launched a campaign against smoking. And I don't know, Max Zapata, but I will bet you in 1955 or 57 or whatever the hell the last date is, I'll bet you 40% of American males smoked at some point, like 1951 or something.
I buy that.
And
your doctor was smoking.
Right. And athletes were selling Chesterfield cigarettes. And if you look by today's standards, we're probably under 20% in the adult male department, maybe less, maybe 15, maybe under 15%. And now Dawson makes up. He smokes for 7 people, so he bends the curve a little bit. But my point is We waged an effective campaign. We did. And what we did with smoking, we didn't just say don't smoke. And we didn't just say it was bad for you. We added a shame factor to smoking. Shame. I know no one likes shame. Shame's fucking effective when you want people to do shit. And I know there's a shame factor to smoking because if I ever see a guy smoking like outside of a restaurant or something, he's kneeling behind the dumpster. Like these guys don't even stand out in the sidewalk and smoke anymore. Guys are like hiding. They're like around the corner with their jacket pulled over their head. Smoke's coming out. So we took cigarette smoking, which was bad for the public, and we've decided as a society we didn't want it, and we built a campaign around it, and a lot of that campaign was shame, how this affects people around you, secondhand smoke, what about the kids going up through the conduit of your apartment and coming out in the little Hispanic kids who looks very sad conduit into his apartment. So we did it, and it worked. Now, I would say you could take all the same measures that applied to smoking and just move it over to obesity. You could.
There's one thing missing, a key thing missing. There's no such thing as secondhand binging. Because we don't really care what people do to themselves. We care, blowing smoke toward our table or our kid. How do you marry those two, that missing ingredient?
Additional problem, you're 100% right, Gene. Additional problem is you have to portray overweight, diabetes or whatever. And how do you, once you portray that as a person, like you personify as a person, then there's a whole thing of, of a body shaming, or are they picking on this fat person, and bad optics.
Well, first off, we have to we have to wrap our minds around body shaming, because we're trying to get people to eat less or exercise more or be healthy and, get rid of the diabetes, it's going to stray into that zone. Do you know what I mean? And we just declared body shaming was bad, but what I'm saying is first off, we don't have to say what you look like in a bathing suit. We can say you're X amount overweight. We need to work on this. 1954, it peaked. Was that its highest?
Yeah, that was the highest.
It's funny. I had that little area right in my head. I was saying 55, 50, whatever. It peaked in 54 at 45% of adults.
Wow.
And that's adults.
That's crazy.
And women smoked less, so I'm guessing even it was higher for men.
Sure.
But that was if in 1954, if you say 45% of adults smoke, that's 50% of American males smoked. It remained high, 40% through the 70s, and in the 2000s it went down to the low 20s, but in 2021 it's got to be into the teens. Now, anyway, good for us, effective, saved a lot of lives, healthier people. I think it's time to do whatever we were doing with smoking with weight, diabetes, health, overeating, and that world. We need to take it to that world. I think we got smoking pretty much under control. Now let's shift. And it's not a big health issue. I mean, that doesn't cost us.
It's the biggest.
It's insane. It's the biggest.
I think you're right. And I think I just had something click in my brain how it can be done. With smokers, sure, we shamed smokers, but I think we started at the top down. No more advertising cigarettes on TV. No more glorifying, I'm Babe Ruth and I smoke, Winston's, whatever. All that shit has to go. So it started with the advertising and not necessarily scapegoating, but taking it off the individual and saying, you're not the reason you're addicted to nicotine. These big bad advertisers are marketing directly to you. No more candy cigarettes. And I think if we took a similar approach to people saying, yes, you're part of the reason because it's your body, but you're not the reason that all this stuff is being inundated into your eyeballs every day. So we got to start more regulation on what's advertised, because that's what we did for cigarettes.
I got an idea. Not bad, Gina Grad.
Thank you.
In the in greenhouse gases and global warming, we have carbon credits. How about we have carb credits?
Good.
Which is, you may get that Big Mac and fries, but I need to check your phone to see that you walked 4 miles today already. And I
chicken for breakfast.
I see it's you only covered 3.5, and the guy just starts running.
I like that.
Because my thing is like I don't care if you have a Big Mac, but you got to fucking hit the gym.
Could earn it.
Or you can't have it for breakfast. Carb credits.
Carbo credits.
Carbo credits.
Didn't we talk one time about someone was making bike-powered televisions?
Yeah.
So you could only watch TV if you're pedaling.
Yeah, the professor invented that on Gilligan's Island in
That must have been it.
1962. 2018 smokers, men at 15.5%, women at 12%.
Wow.
I feel like I was right on all my guesstimates.
Yeah.
With these
Not bad.
That's down a lot. So that's 50% down to 15 or whatever. All right.
Did you win
yes.
did you always win every guess how many jelly beans are in this Sparkletts bottle?
No, it was always a fish bowl when I was a kid, I think. And it was always at the supermarket.
I feel like that would be one of your strengths.
One of my fantasy was every seventh sitcom I watched in the 70s when Carol Brady took her family shopping. At some point when she was checking out, it turned out she was the 1 million shopper, and the balloons would fall down and they'd come out with a big check. That was
Comedy
a very
check.
real scenario in my head. Like, we could be the 1 million shopper. All right, let's see. We got Mr. Brightside. We got a guy with a dog that died and a custody battle with a daughter and a crazy, lazy mother-in-law.
Jesus.
And we got a lot of, we got some losing all his hair. We got a lot of good stuff queued up.
What's bad about that?
Yeah, so let's take a break. We'll come back, play Mr. Brightside right after this.
Life got you down? Can't catch a break? Thinking about ending it all? Well, don't. Let Adam turn your frown upside down. It's time for Mr. Bright.
But you tell me your woes, and I'll see if I can put a happy spin on it with the happy organ in the back. I'm just going to move it on down the line. I'll start at the top. Kristen, 38, Mesa, Arizona.
Hi, guy.
Hi, guy. Wait a minute. Are you a Christine? Sorry.
I am a Christine. Yes,
Christine.
thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead.
So I'm 8 months pregnant, and my dog passed away, and I have no ability to control my emotions. So if you could cheer me up, that would be great.
What was your dog's name?
His name was Moscow, like the city. He was a Siberian Husky.
Oh, two different color eyes.
No, 2 bright blue eyes.
So you had him for how many years?
We just had him for about 5 years, and he was about 5 when we got him. He was sort of a rescue situation, so we're just grateful we had him, but it's been rough.
Yeah, the thing about dogs is you think you loved your old dog, and you think you mourn severely for the loss of your old dog until 2 seconds after you get a new puppy. And then every single I wish you could do that with grandparents. Every single part of your fiber just goes right to the new puppy, and it's turn the fucking page. I mean, maybe, I don't know what it says about human wiring. I had a dog. I had Molly. We loved Molly. Molly died. Everyone was totally broken up about it. And then we got Phil, and it's like Molly was never born. So, I know they do this thing where they go, this is not how grieving works. Oh, yeah? First off,
if it tribute to Molly,
if it works, it works. Number one, it's essentially, first off, nothing's better than a puppy. Number one. Number two, you could be in a long marriage and getting divorced and grieving it. As soon as you fuck your first Victoria's Secret model, you're back. You know what I mean? So that puppy is a Victoria's Secret model. Now, you can't buy a Victoria's Secret model, but you can buy that puppy. And I'm telling you, Your Moscow will be a distant memory after you get that new puppy. You'll feel a little guilty, just like you would if you're banging Victoria's Secret model, but you sure be happy you're on top of her. So you got to get the new dog.
True.
You got to get the new dog because until you get the new dog, the old dog just remains. Just a sad memory. And by the way, everybody thinks they had a special relationship with their dog. You know what I mean? Everyone has the best dog and a special relationship. Statistically, is that possible? Everyone had the best dog? Everyone had the best relationship? I swear to God, even the kids were all busted up about Molly dying. Soon as Phil put a bow on Phil, had Phil go trotting through in the living room, it was like, Molly who? Done. Gone. Yesterday's news. You got to get a new dog.
All right. From your lips to my husband's ears.
Well, otherwise, it's just going to be a lot of grieving, and you're what, 8 months pregnant?
Yeah. Will the baby count as a puppy, or I got to get a puppy?
You got to get a puppy.
Okay.
And don't get a really young puppy because that's going to be a handful. Young puppy.
Yeah.
Young puppy's more work than the baby.
Okay.
I mean it.
Well, that's also actually really good news.
Yeah. So babies, we talk about how much work they are, but get a night nurse. Get that pup, Christine.
Will do. Thank you, sir.
Turn the page. God bless. All right. I think that worked. Go to Josh, line 2. Josh, Columbia, South Carolina.
Hi, Guy.
Hi, Guy.
I'm in a renewed custody battle. I got divorced from my ex-wife 11 years ago, and now my daughter's 15, and she's also identifies as a boy now, and so her mom is like ultra crazy religious, flat earther type, and mentally abusive. So I just had to file paperwork to get her to come stay with me and live with me, where we're more accepting and all that stuff.
Is your daughter transitioning?
Like medically? No, I mean, she just refers to herself as a boy. She's got a new name now. I guess I don't have a problem with that. I'm okay with that, but her mom is definitely not cool with that. She's crazy. And our original custody battle was hell.
Yeah.
And,
so how's it whacked up now? You splitting the time 50-50?
Yeah. It's joint custody, but she was the primary. Parent. Yeah. This one's tough. You have to hire a drifter to kill your wife.
Oh boy.
You're not going to beat it with logic. Good luck. Good luck out arguing a flat earther. You know what I mean? When it comes.
Yeah, I know.
When it comes to the daughter wearing slacks, you know what I mean?
Well, years ago, a couple of years back, she would make my daughter sit down and watch these like long flat earth YouTube videos to try to indoctrinate her and stuff.
How out of all the conspiracy theories, the flat earthing, that is the most vexing to me because it's like first things first. What's in it for the flat earthers? You know what I mean? Like, I kind of understand when they go, there wasn't a Jew in one of those twin towers. All right, good. You hate Jews. That's what's in it for you. What's in it for the flat earthers?
I've talked about this before, and I'll talk about it till it no longer becomes the thing, which is probably never. There's an anti-intellectualism, which is those fucking scientists think they know more than me. I'll show them. I saw this documentary, Behind the Curve. I'm sure a lot of people have seen it. And these are not dumb people who believe this. They're smart. They're smart enough to sort of outthink themselves. Like, just move on and put your focus on something else. Nope. No, I'm sticking with this. This is where I plant my flag in the ground. That's where I draw the line.
All right. Well, Josh, first off, word to your mother, don't knock up flat earthers because you end up in this predicament. So just for others listening, I know it's a little late. So like any of you guys who are thinking about dating flat earthers, you stay away from those flat earthers. You get with the Gina Grads of the world, the Twin Towers. You know what I mean? Not the
There you go.
not the flat. Ain't nothing.
Thanked you too
no
soon.
part of Gina that's flat. All right. Also, your daughter/son is pretty fit. By the way, 15-year-olds are like 27-year-olds when I was a kid. I mean, they're pretty much done. And you are going to be the good parent.
Yes.
You are going to be the forgiving, thoughtful one. Mom's always going to be the crazy one. Your daughter's going to resent her and feel that way, and your bond is going to be that much tighter with your daughter. Now, as far as the custody battle, that's going to be what it's going to be, and it's going to play out. But what you can say to your daughter now, your daughter's 15. She's obviously educated, and she's obviously a modern woman/man. She knows who your wife is. Now, when your daughter's 8 and you have to sit down and watch flat Earth videos with mom, you're in. It's a cult. You're indoctrinated in a cult. It's hard to get people into a cult when they're teenagers or when they're older or when they're aware of what's going on. She had no callback. She had no context when she was growing up. That was just her mom. Now she realizes it's technically her mom, but practically she's a nutty flat earther, religious nut job who she won't listen to anymore. So even if she's spending time with nutty ex-wife, it's not going to be watching YouTube videos on flat earth. She's going to just be watching Netflix. Your nutty ex is going to be in the next room. She doesn't have dominion over her anymore. She's not going to be able to affect her. It's going to be uncomfortable, but she's not going to poison her like she did in the past.
Yeah.
All right, mission. Look, that was a tough one. Let's be honest. Crazy
really
flat
well
earther wife, the transitioning daughter. I mean, that was a 9 on the difficulty scale. All right, let's see. We got Chris, 35, Sacramento. Chris.
Hey, not stoked to follow Josh, but I'll give it a go. How you guys?
Good.
Hey now.
Hi, guy.
Hi.
Hi.
Yeah. Adam, I'm sure you can help me out. I've got a crazy mother-in-law who's making my life a living hell, and I was hoping Mr. Brightside could cheer me up.
How old is she?
Probably about 70.
Well, she'll die soon. I mean,
don't even go there. I'm not thinking it.
I am. I'm thinking it for the both of us. How about that?
Yeah, she's been diagnosed to be crazy and refuses to take meds, and she accuses my wife's dad of just about everything, and it's getting bad. It's sad to see my wife and her relationship deteriorate, so I don't know what to do.
All right, I get it, but I got to tell you, there's a big difference between crazy acting all the time and then diagnosed. And I'll tell you why. Diagnosed gives you context. When people are just accusatory and bitter and acting out and all that kind of stuff, and you don't really have a context for it. You don't really have a disorder. You can't hang a label on it. But you can hang a label on your mother-in-law. And thus, you don't have to listen to what she says. I mean, you know what it's like? It's like when a neighbor says something to you. Like if a neighbor said, you're an asshole, or you're out of line, or you're going to die, or something, it would be a bad day. If a homeless person says something to you crazy, you just keep walking, right? They're crazy. That's a homeless person. Like there's context, right? So it's kind of consider the source. Your source is nutty, and it's difficult as that is for your wife. You and your wife both understand that she's suffering a mental disorder, probably not taking her medications. So when she points at your wife and says, "You're a whore. I wish I never gave birth to you," that's a crazy person saying that, not her mom. You know what I'm saying? And so you can
thank God.
You can put it in a context because, and I think I probably I've had this before where it's like I didn't know people were nutty or on medications or whatever. And I was like, what's wrong with me and what's wrong with them? And then you find out they were suffering from something. And then you go, oh, okay, so those words didn't really mean anything. And I should have never listened. So you, my friend, do not have to listen to your mother-in-law because she's crazy. And all you have to do is get your wife, and this is a fairly tall order. You have to get your wife to transition from "that's my mom talking" to "that's a 70-year-old nut job talking." We all have to do it one day. And the numbers may vary, but I mean, at some point when somebody has a disability this way, that's not your mom talking. That's a person in the grips of a disorder, and you have to hear it in the context of it. It may be the words may be coming out of your mom's face, but those aren't her words. It's like
a pod person,
right? Not the words as you knew them as a young person. All right, Scott, 32.
You're killing it, Adam.
Well, I don't know if I'm making people feel better, but this is sound advice. All right, Scott, 32, Topeka, Kansas.
All right.
What's going on?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, man.
All right. Well, I got to tell you, you're absolutely right about the shame in the smokers. I remember when I was in kindergarten, even they started the campaign. They basically made me into Hitler's youth. I remember going to my grandpa,
Good analogy.
dying from lung cancer, laying on his belly when I was 4 or 5 years old and saying, "You really got to stop smoking. It's going to kill you."
Yeah,
and
people were deputized. Yeah, the kids. Oh my God, you smoke in front of a kid now? They fucking freak out. They're much. Yeah. By the way, a kid, your average teenager, sort of grew up in this world. Much cooler with pot than they are with cigarettes.
Sure,
much cooler. All right, so go ahead, Scott.
So, I'm the type of guy where, like, for instance, I want to learn how to juggle. So I was like, all right, I'm going to go home and I'm going to learn how to juggle. And I'd spend 10 to 12 hours. And next day I'd show up and I'd be able to juggle. Or, hey, I wanted to, like, up my basketball game. Or I'd want to learn this new talent. And so I would devote all this time to it. Now, it seems like ever since I had a kid, my kid's 2 years old, I feel like my body is just shutting down on me. And I look back on these pictures just even from 2 years ago. And, my body's not in the shape it was before. I'm losing all my hair. It's the first time that I'm ever really feeling old, at 32, which I guess can be normal. But I don't know. I just got a photo shoot and the pictures came back and I'm seeing huge bald spots on my crown. My hair's receding.
Wait a second.
I guess I just need some cheering up. What's up?
So do you make the cover of Juggler's Digest again, or what's the photo shoot?
Probably a new baby photo shoot, like a family
Yeah,
photo
my
shoot.
Baby's turning 2 here in less than a week, and so wanted to get, a family photo shoot.
You're going to juggle the baby? I don't get it. I'm not following.
But I'll tell you what, I will sign up for that photo shoot if I can find it here in Topeka, Kansas, of all places.
Yeah, I don't know what the circulation is these days, but I'll look into it.
It's gone mostly online.
Yeah, they're gone digital. Yeah, that's where the money is.
I was going to say, I'm not a hat guy. Hats, I don't know, for whatever reason, it just makes it look worse. So I can't do that.
You're not a hat guy?
No, I can't pull it off for whatever reason.
Brian, are you a hat guy?
No, we did. We remember there was a week where I wore hats. You're like, you should try hats. And it's just, maybe on the beach.
All right. I'm a fucking broken record here, but here goes. You're 32 years of age. You're post the Michael Jordan era. Michael Jordan made it okay for any man in America to have a bald head. The number one athlete, personality, even sex symbol in America was a bald guy. And it was It is now anything that came after Michael Jordan is completely fine. When I grew up, you could not have a bald head. You couldn't have a shaved head. It was weird. There were like there were two people on TV who were bald. There was Telly Savalas and the captain from the Love Boat. That was it. That was all. That's out of the three major networks and 1,000 hours of primetime programming. That was it. You had to have long hair. It had to look like Leif Garrett. You had to comb it back. You had to look like the fourth Hudson brother. You guys can Google me right on that. Hair was a big... It was a big deal. If you even just watch an episode of The Partridge Family, Keith Partridge's hair is like co-stars in The Partridge Family. He's always swinging it around. He's moving it. Even Danny Bonaducci's like flipping and moving. It's like it was a big deal to move your hair. By the way, women too. They're always like shaking their hair. Farrah Fawcett. Yes, Brian.
To further prove your point, look how far we've come in the ass kicker department. Statham, The Rock, everyone in the UFC. Back then, Patrick Swayze was kicking ass at Roadhouse with a fucking perm. No, you had to have the buzz cut or the bald head.
No such thing as a leading man with a buzzed head back then. No, back in the day, no leading man had that. You couldn't have it. Even, the great
Yul Brenner.
The great, yeah, but he wasn't a leading man. He played like the heavy. By the way, underrated in the hair department, Clint Eastwood.
Oh, yeah.
Like all those spaghetti westerns of that was big hair. You had to have big hair in order to have big success. Never been a better time to be bald. Shave it off. Get the fuck back to juggling and focus on your priorities, which is a 4-pin combo. Yes.
Let me ask Scott a question. Scott, are you losing hair because of any chemotherapy treatment or cancer treatment?
Oh, well, yeah, I guess I could see the bright side in that. No.
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, shut the fuck up. Thanks for the assist. All right, let's bring it home.
Feel better? Good. Thank you, Mr. Brightside.
All right. Well, I think we proved our point there. What do I got? Liquid IV. Here we go. Liquid IV. Well, we talked about diet and exercise and what that entails. Getting your vitamins in there. Flu season's around the corner. Winter's approaching. More important than ever to have a strong immune system. That's why Liquid IV was created. It's a hydration multiplier plus immune support. Cutting-edge blend of vitamin C, vitamin D. They're talking about how important vitamin D is with this whole COVID business. Oh, by the way, zinc. That's another one everyone should be on. It's got C, D, zinc, and Wellmune, a naturally sourced beta-glucan, proven to help strengthen your immune system, all in a convenient single-serving packet. It's just little packets. It's kind of like, I don't know, size of a salt packet. Size of... like a Sweet and Low times 2, a little kind of tube packet. And you just open it up, put it in your water bottle, shake it up. Good for traveling, good for hangovers. It's Liquid IV. Right, Dawson?
Liquid IV's new hydration multiplier plus immune support is available at Walmart or order online and get 25% off when you go to liquidiv.com and use code ADAM at checkout. That's 25% off anything you order when you use promo code ADAM at liquidiv.com. Get better hydration today at liquidiv.com. Promo code ADAM.
All right. We got... Patrick Rosenstiel, he's National Popular Vote is the campaign, talking about the Electoral College versus the popular vote.
Very interested in this.
A lot of people have been going around on this for more so recently. So be curious and really getting schooled up on the popular vote versus the Electoral College. We'll talk to Patrick right after this.
It's time to check Adam's voicemail.
You guys have talked on the show about Google Me Right. Well, my wife has a version of that called Google Her Husband Wrong. Anytime I drop some knowledge on her, like you don't catch a cold from being cold, or sex helps with your immune system, she immediately tries to Google me wrong.
You can leave us a message at 888-634-1744.
Patrick Rosenstiel is our guest. The campaign, National Popular Vote Advocacy Group, lobbying state legislatures to enter into an interstate compact agreeing to send their electoral votes to the winner of the most ballots cast. So good to see you, Patrick.
Yeah, grateful for the opportunity to be here.
What's your background?
Yeah, well, I grew up in American politics, sort of on the campaign side of things as a young man. So I'll just disclose right now, I happen to be a Republican who supports the national popular vote for president, but I started by realigning Congress with guys like Gingrich, and then, been around the American presidency a little bit, ran some statewide campaigns in California. So I know a little bit about politics from the campaign side and about policy from helping American presidents enact their domestic policy agendas. So that's sort of my relevant background here.
Am I right to assume that you're kind of an outlier? I thought most Republicans were Electoral College people and the popular vote was more of a Democratic thing. Is that correct?
Well, I don't know. I think that's a misnomer. I mean, I've been involved in this movement since 2007. And from the very beginning, we've been a nonpartisan group of Republicans, Democrats, and independents who simply believe that every American voter ought to be relevant when we elect the president of the United States. The chairman of my organization is a progressive Democrat. We don't agree on a lot of things, but we do believe that, a Republican trapped behind the blue wall in Minnesota should be relevant in presidential elections, as should a Democrat in Oklahoma. And under the current system, we're all ignored. So we want to change that system. And we've been doing that in a bipartisan fashion since 2006.
So it's not. So is it a true statement that more Republicans are for the Electoral College, or am I just felt like I'm taking crazy pills? I felt like, or is it just split down the middle?
Well, I think, it used to be kind of split down the middle. Obviously, the last divergent election, there was a Republican candidate that won the presidency. So there have been some headwinds on the Republican side.
Right.
Sort of recently. But I would just point out our bill, right? We're a state bill. And when enough states with 270 or more electoral votes pass our bill, they award those electors in block to the winner of the national popular vote. And that's the right way to move to a national popular vote for president. Last time my bill was introduced in Michigan, it had 15 Republican sponsors and 10 Democratic sponsors. So, we're just a movement where we think everybody should set down their jerseys. We should be electing the president of the United States because every voter in every state should be politically relevant. And we believe that the principle of one person, one vote is foundational to American democracy. And I don't believe that's a Republican or a Democrat idea. It's just a good American idea.
Bryan.
Yeah, question for you, just point of clarification. Under your idea, your plan, I could be wrong about this, but is it a winner-take-all based on the popular vote? Like a popular vote winner would then de facto win all of the electoral votes. They'd be made moot in a sense.
Yeah, every state that passes our bill, once we hit 270 electoral votes, all of those electors go in block to the winner of the national popular vote. So we'll guarantee the presidency to the winner every time, right, of the national popular vote. And we have 16 states that have passed our bill, 196 electoral votes. We're only trying to add 74 more. And I'm cautiously optimistic, or beyond optimistic, that this will be the last time we elect American president when 4 out of 5 voters in 4 out of 5 states are politically ignored, right?
Was the Electoral College necessary at some point in this country's history?
Well, the Electoral College was necessary, I think, to get out of the Constitutional Convention. But my real problem, the villain here isn't necessarily the Electoral College. It's the state-based winner-take-all law that the states adopted over time that's led to this sort of, system of red states and blue states, right? I think the biggest misnomer about a national popular vote for president is that you can't have one with the Electoral College, right? Mm-hmm. If you open up the Constitution and read Article 2, Section 1, it says each state shall appoint in such manner as the legislature thereof may direct a number of electors. So if you want a national popular vote for president, you don't need to abolish the Electoral College. You simply need to petition the state legislatures to award their electors on the basis of the popular vote.
And obviously, I live in California. We're basically a Democratic supermajority here. So the presidents don't bother swinging by and wasting a lot of energy over here.
Unless they got to pick up money.
They come by and pick up money, and then they go somewhere else and spend it. So we get short shrift over. I mean, imagine the size of the state of California and the populace in California, and it's kind of a neither here nor there thing when it comes to the presidential election. And so I guess that would change that, because you would have to focus a lot of time on California by virtue of the fact that there's, I don't know, 30, 40 million people in this state.
Well, 12% of the country lives in California, and it's completely ignored in presidential elections because of the state-based winner-take-all law. Under a national popular vote, you obviously would not ignore California. But California is not unique, right? South Dakota, as a small red state or a conservative state, is completely ignored in presidential elections. And we just think, whether you live in Bismarck, North Dakota, or Sacramento or the Central Valley of California, you should be every bit as relevant to the American president and the candidates who seek the presidency as a voter in Boca Raton, Florida. And that's what a national popular vote will deliver.
Gina.
Yeah, I'm so glad you're here to talk about this. I've been asking this question since high school, which for me was almost, 4 years ago. But I'm wondering what the argument is to keep it. What you're saying makes perfect sense. I've been asking the question my entire life. I've never gotten a good answer. What are the pro-electoral college people saying to keep this around? Because it's never made sense.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, hold on. Sorry. I'm sorry for jumping in, but I think it's a good opportunity for you to respond to some of these clips. So there's a sorry for derailing your shit, Gina, but just it all come around in 10 seconds. There's a Prager U video that had millions of views, and it was a short video on why we need the Electoral College. So I told Chris to send it to Patrick, and then I told Chris to whack up 3 or 4 talking points, and then I think the clearest way we can do this is we'll have that person from the video explain why we need it, and then Patrick can address it. Great. I think that makes the most sense. So the first one is...
Yeah, and this is Tara Ross. She is an expert on the Electoral College and a big defender of it. So the first one, she's going to talk about why it's important for democracy and how not having a full democracy is a good idea.
Why did they create, and why do we continue to need this Electoral College? The answer is critical to understanding not only the Electoral College, but also America. The founders had no intention of creating a pure majority rule democracy. They knew from careful study of history what most have forgotten today or never learned. Pure democracies do not work. They implode. Democracy has been colorfully described as 2 wolves and a lamb voting on what's for dinner. In a pure democracy, bare majorities can easily tyrannize the rest of the country.
All right, so we'll start with that one, Patrick.
Yeah, well, just to answer Gina's question real quick, as I got a confession to make, which is I can't think of a single redeeming quality to the current system, which is why I'm a proponent for national popular vote. But to Tara's point, people throw around words like democracy and republic without any real understanding of what they mean. And when she talks about the founders were afraid of democracy, she was talking about the founders were talking about Athenian democracy, right? Where we would all vote on issues, like the entire country would be run on a California initiative and referendum type process, where voters and citizens would vote on every issue. Well, the founders weren't afraid of the people, and they weren't afraid of a democratic Republican form of government, which means we elect people to represent our interests, right? So Madison, for example, the father of the Constitution, wrote that a Republican form of government is a body of government that derives its power from the people. And in a republic, we elect people to represent us for set terms. In this case, the president for 4 years, okay? Democracy doesn't have any idea, it doesn't have anything to do with how you elect that person, right? Under a national popular vote, we will be a Republican form of government because we will elect a president of the United States, not just a president of the battleground states. And every voter in every state will be valued in that process. And a national popular vote for president is absolutely consistent with Article 2, Section 1 of the Constitution, if enough states say that it is. So this idea that the founders didn't want a democracy, indeed, they didn't want Athenian democracy. but they did want a body of government that derives its power from the people who elect them. And what better way to do that than through a national popular vote for president? We don't need to be electing a governor of the battleground state of Pennsylvania when we're electing a president of the United States. California ought not be ignored. Oklahoma ought not be ignored. Idaho ought not be ignored. Texas ought not be ignored. Every American voter should have an equal voice and sort of the benefit of that one person, one vote principle. And so I would call, well, I guess I won't call anything on Tara Ross, but that would be my right. That'd be my response.
Well, that's why we had you on. By the way, just a sort of side note, any thoughts about the upcoming election? Obviously, Trump's not going to win any popular votes. He won't win anything that has the word popular at the beginning of it, but that includes dance crazes and music. But
pretty hot on TikTok right now with his dancing.
There may be some road to the Electoral College. Which of course be a nightmare for you, I guess.
I don't make predictions on campaigns. I try not to be a pundit that way. I'm prepared for any result in that election.
Okay.
I'm not suggesting that the president could or could not win the popular vote this time around. I certainly believe in 2016, had we had a campaign where both campaigns were forced to campaign in all 50 states, like a national popular vote would do, I'm not sure that Hillary Clinton would have won the popular vote by 3 million votes. Because you got to remember, under the current system, 98% of the money you use to run for president is spent in just 12 battleground states, right?
Yeah.
And so, if the president's campaigning vigorously in all 50 states in the District of Columbia, I don't know what would have changed, but I certainly know the outcome would have changed in the popular vote.
Brian, I got a few more of these clips to go through, but if you have a question, you can toss it.
No, finish the clips. I do have a question I want to ask, but finish the clips.
Number 2 clip was building a coalition. You can address this one.
Why is this so important? Because the system encourages coalition building and national campaigning. In order to win, a candidate must have the support of many different types of voters from various parts of the country. Winning only the South or the Midwest is not good enough. You cannot win 270 electoral votes if only one part of the country is supporting you. But if winning were only about getting the most votes, a candidate might concentrate all of his efforts in the biggest cities or the biggest states. Why would that candidate care about what people in West Virginia or Iowa or Montana think?
Okay. Patrick, how say you?
Those 12 states that she pulled up at the end there, those 12 big states that could control a national popular vote, the dirty little secret is under the current system. Those same 12 states, if one candidate won those states by one popular vote, they'd be elected president because they have 270 electoral votes. When my friend Tara Ross talks about how the current system forces you to build vast coalitions across the country, it leads me to believe she has zero experience in electing a president of the United States. You're watching the campaign right now. It is 1 week from Election Day, and 35 states have not had an event during the general election from either of the major party candidates for president or vice president. They're being completely ignored. $1 billion that was leveraged on television 2 weeks ago, according to NPR, was spent in just 12 states. That means 38 states were completely ignored. Now, if she talks about building coalitions like this entire presidential election coming down to fracking policy, because that's important in the battleground state of Pennsylvania, I guess I'll agree with her. But the truth is presidential elections should be about what's in the best interest of all the American people, not just persuadable audiences inside the battleground state of Pennsylvania or Florida. So, I think, first of all, I don't know if she read it in a political science book or like a PhD paper, but what matters in presidential campaigns is influence with the president. Right now, the battleground states have all the influence. The rest of us are mere spectators. And what that translates into every 4 years is preferred policy by the parties to pander to the political interests of battleground state Floridas. And we need to stop that, or battleground state voters.
Right.
I say Florida because that is the battleground state,
or
a swing state in the election. So
yeah, it's a good point.
Another one that if I'm fact checking it, I'm almost laughing at it.
I think you just did. Brian, your question?
Oh, yeah. Patrick, you and I are very close on this. I've long had these thoughts. And if your initiative were to not come to fruition, what do you think of this? And please, you clear your mind, by all means, poke holes in it. I've thought about this a lot, but I want to hear what the problems of this would be. Why not award an electoral vote per district? You know what I mean? There's 55 electoral votes in California. Why not award those individually? Obviously, if Donald Trump were to come and campaign in Orange County, that would be a good thing for him. And if the blue candidate was coming, campaign in Marin County, that'd be a good thing for them. It could go 30-25. It could go 35-20. But that would be a more egalitarian way to award electoral votes, would it not?
Well, Brian, I'm going to say this respectfully. I think it would take a bad system and make it worse, and I'll tell you why. I mean, you're right to point out that Maine and Nebraska, right? They do it by congressional district right now, and it just goes to show you that the state-based winner-take-all law, which was never discussed at the Constitutional Convention, is not in the Constitution. States can change their method of awarding electors, and I prefer that they award them on the basis of the popular vote when it's decisive. Now, the reason I'm suspect of a congressional district plan is because I'm worried about sort of the influence of the battleground voter, right? So, for example, Maine's 2nd congressional district today, Donald Trump is targeting that congressional district in Maine to get one electoral vote. And what is he doing? He's taking stances as an American president on protecting the interest of Maine lobster farmers. Now, I don't know what percentage of the American population Maine lobster farmers represent, but it's not very
less than
big.
30%.
Yeah, well, it's less than 0.3% of 3 millionth percent.
Hey, Patrick, I said less.
Yeah, but
you're on the same page.
Good point. But the truth is if you split up the country into competitive congressional districts, you're right to point out Orange County. In my home state of Minnesota, I'd probably point to the 1st congressional district where the Mayo Clinic is, but the rest of my state would be completely ignored, right? And so the truth is what you do is you concentrate the power in less hands in a congressional district system. The other thing is you can't wave a magic wand and do that, right? Because each state has to act independently, right? And so the truth is in California, you'd have a problem going to that plan. You know why? Because the Democrats in Sacramento would not want to give the Republicans 12 electoral votes.
The irony of Sacramento is very conservative. Sacramento itself as a city.
Right, but the legislature, who would have to go to a congressional district plan, they're not going to unilaterally disarm. So my feeling is that the solution to pollution is dilution, right? Diluting the power of the battleground state voter is what we should all be focused on. The only way to do that is to have a national popular vote for president. The only way to have a national popular vote for president in place in 2024 is to pass the national popular vote bill in states with 74 more electoral votes. And the best way to do that is to join our effort at National Popular Vote. And if I can say a URL, just because I'm a pro, nationalpopularvote.com.
nationalpopularvote.com. Well, I'll tell you, you've answered a lot of our questions, and it makes a lot more sense than it did to me before I started talking to you 25 minutes ago. So thanks for joining us, Patrick Rosenstiel. That was informative.
Yeah, loved it. Enjoyed it. Love your show. Been a big fan of yours for a long time. So thanks for everything you do. And thanks for, bringing a topic like this to your podcast. I mean, sometimes I feel like a political science professor, and that's a little boring. I probably need a hobby. But at the end of the day, I think this is worth doing, and I hope everybody will get involved.
Well, you do a real good job of representing your point. National Popular Vote, and again, nationalpopularvote.com is where you go. Patrick Rosenstiel, thank you, my friend. All right, let me hit Red Cap here, and then we'll do some news with our own Bald and Gina Grad. Red Cap, that is cap with a K, not with a C, with a K. Red Cap is one of the oldest makers of workwear in the country, outfitting our essential workforce for nearly a century. They have something for seemingly every industry, from coveralls to high-visibility work shirts to oil-blocking chef coats and shop shirts as well. We have the coveralls over here. They are top shelf, high quality. They're great. And they've been going at it since 1923. So I think they know what they're doing. And right now, you can go to redcap with a K, redcap.com. Enter the promo code Adam. Get 20% off your first order. This offer ends November 20th. So get in there and get some top-tier industrial-grade workwear that's perfect for any job. That is redcap with a K.com, promo code Adam. All right, we'll take a quick break, come back with the news and Gina Grad.
Give me the news with Grad, news with Gina Grad, breaking viral, all those crazy Trump tweets. Give me news with Gina Grad, trouble in the Middle East, celebrity drunk meltdowns. Need news with Gina Grad.
The news with Gina Grad.
Well, Megyn Kelly, she's joined in on the roasting of our fearless governor, Gavin Newsom, here in California on Sunday for his very restrictive Thanksgiving guidelines, which we got into already, includes strongly discouraging singing at festivities, keep your woodwind instruments at home. We got all of this, I believe, yesterday. In a tweet posted Sunday, the former Fox News and NBC News host listed some of the rules and called them Thanksgiving insanity. Comedian, and this is all from Daily Mail, by the way, comedian and Saturday Night Live vet Rob Schneider took to Twitter earlier to insinuate that Newsom is trying to run California like a monarchy. He tweeted, "Dear Emperor Gavin Newsom, during our allotted 3-family limit in Thanksgiving, if my aunt comes over, can I throw her a slice of turkey from the window? We promise not to sing. We will all just whisper, please recall dipshit Gavin Newsom." And again, from the Daily Mail, also reports that radio personality and actor Adam Carolla responded, yes, you made the Daily Mail article saying, tweeted, "How many of you sheep are going along with Newsom's Thanksgiving protocols?" And I buried the lead. You are a radio personality and an actor, first and second.
Yeah. At this point, you're going to have to assume that Gavin Newsom is either handicapped mentally, and there is something wrong with him. I mean, his thinking, I've heard him try to articulate his side of arguments, and there's something that doesn't really track with him. So there's either something going on a neurological level, or there's something nefarious going on. But either way, you get to do what you want for Thanksgiving. He's either stupid or liar. Like, I don't know what he's doing, but understand there's something wrong with Gavin Newsom. I was saying to Mike August today, I said, living in a state where Gavin Newsom's in charge, it's like you're being punished. It's like he's trying to punish us. Like,
he wants to run for president.
That's what Mike says every single time. And I'm like,
retort.
All right, well, why does he have to punish us? Can't he just go run for president? So either way, people, or sheeple, depending on how you look at yourself, it's time for you to start living your life. And I think everyone is pretty aware of what the rules are, or what the do's and the don'ts are. I think we got it. We understand. Some are a little more compliant than others, but we understand what we're trying to avoid. And go out there and live your life accordingly, which, by the way, most people do. You kind of leave people alone. You give them the information for the most part, and you leave them alone. They tend to wear their mask, and they tend to distance, and they tend to do what's sort of the social contract.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw what's been going on with this. It seems post-apocalyptic. We all know that Disneyland shut down for the time being, possibly till next summer, and how that's affecting the people of Anaheim and Orange County. And there is now, I don't have the specifics in front of me, but there is now a food line for former and present Disneyland employees, because they are so broke and they are so out of work that there is now a food line, I think this weekend, where you can go and get food, a box of food, if you're a Disney employee. It seems post-apocalyptic.
Well, they're running Disney in Florida, and it's working fine, and they haven't had any big flare-ups, and who better than Disney? Who better at herding people around than Disney? Who does a better job at moving people around? That their job is moving people around and lines and all that kind of stuff and how to deal with that. So there's a bunch of guidelines. They follow it at Disney in Orlando, and 2 months later, no flare-ups, no news, no nothing. So good. The good news is they volunteered to be the canary in the coal mine. We were California. We were going to play it safe. Let those Floridians shake hands with the devil. So they did. When did they open the Disney in Florida? Disney World. So it's been a long enough time in terms of the gestation period and all that kind of stuff. No bad news that I'm aware of out of Disney Florida. So good news.
Well, and also, who among us who's been to Disneyland wouldn't be the first to sign up and say yes to 25% capacity? I mean, Disneyland is the worst
sounds
slog.
like a dream.
Oh, that sounds like the best. And if I have to wait 3 months and, or book a year in advance, I know my day is coming where there's going to be a quarter of the people in the park. Where do I sign?
Well, also is I'm very brass tacks with all this shit, which is you don't have to go to Disneyland. If you're elderly or asthmatic or both and you think there's some danger, don't go. Just don't go. If you're young and you have no pre-existing conditions, then maybe you should go. That's it. So they didn't have any big spike. They reopened in July. I don't know July what, but...
we know by now.
I'm saying 15th and 11th.
The middle of July, so it's been 4 months or whatever it's been. All right, good. They volunteered to be the canary in the coal mine, Gavin Newsom. They went and opened. They had protocols. They followed the protocols strictly, and it seemed to work. Good. Now we know it's safe for us to open, except for we won't, because we're California, and we have to send some sort of message. But I don't know what I'm not sure the message he's sending. He's sending... He hates employees. He hates a tax base. He hates Disney, who brings billions of tax revenue to this city and state. What is the message? Nobody knows what the message is. I talked to the smartest and listened to some of the smartest people around, and no one can figure out what Newsom is doing other than Mike August running for president. But I still don't understand why keeping Disneyland. I would be much more apt to vote for DeSantis in Florida because he went, okay, we got this situation, but we have to balance it against this massive employer shutting down in the tax dollars. So we're going to have to figure this out. Just saying shut it down, that we don't need a governor. I mean, that takes no skill politically. That's what you're looking for in leadership is a balance. The leadership, it's like you're a general. You can't go, don't storm Normandy Beach. You have to go, we are storming Normandy Beach, but we have to figure out a way to do it strategically. We can't just go, don't get off the Higgins ship. That doesn't, you're not a good general by just going, don't open Disneyland. You're a good general by implementing procedures so that we can safely open Disneyland. That's
figure a way how.
Yes, that's what you want in a leader. No, we're not doing it. Yes.
Yeah, and people are finally getting to the point. I'm seeing articles now that we've never seen before saying, what price will we pay for, the pandemic, which we've been talking about on this show, but it hasn't been a mainstream question that and I'm starting to see that. And you think, well, Gavin Newsom, if you care about the people you represent, then, and I'll just come back to it, they're standing in a food line. I mean, they don't have enough money to buy food, so they're each getting a box of food. You think that makes you look good? That's talk about an optics issue.
I don't know. Maybe he's just a full-blown sociopath. Like, he doesn't seem to have nerve endings. He laughs when he shouldn't be laughing. He says things that don't track or make sense. His rebuttals are more actually hurt his case more than help his case. There's something.
Where are you going to go? I mean, Utah's nice.
I think it's genuinely hard to be a successful politician and not be a sociopath. I think that's a rare exception.
Yeah, I guess, but there's something particularly wrong with him. I don't know. I'm not that cynical. I don't think you have to be a sociopath. I think there's a lot of decent people out there, but he is amongst the worst. And yeah, the greatest thing about where the hell else you're going to go, the thing that made him a sociotard with that one is the person who was interviewing him said, well, what's that mean? I mean, people could go anywhere. And he went, I know. That's just something Jerry Brown says. I don't know if I agree with it. Like, okay. All right. Well, you're just quoting people that you disagree with now.
Well, listen, 7 years ago.
Yeah. Or
you
whatever.
Are the traffic.
Yes. Yeah. I regret that I only have one life to give for my country. Or what? Or not. Doesn't matter to me.
I had a dream.
Yeah. I mean, he's a fucking idiot. And I have no idea. Everyone should just defy him. We should just reopen. Like Disney should just fucking reopen and go sue us. What are you going to do?
There would be storming the gates. It's not like no one would show up.
Oh my God. Yes. It's the same with eating indoors in a restaurant. But again, only people that felt safe enough to go into the restaurant or into the amusement park would go. If you do not feel it's safe, or you think it's a bad idea, or you're elderly or impaired, then you shall stay home. It seems logical. By the way, same with fucking school. My kids have been homeschooling and laying on their bed for 6 months. There's no danger in the schools. Jesus Christ, fucking teachers unions, fucking heroes you guys are. Jesus fucking Christ. It's insane that our schools aren't open. And by the way, it's horrible for kids to be home, and my kids are lucky. There's plenty of kids that are really suffering who need to get and go to school. But no, they shall suffer more. Okay. All right, Gavin Newsom. Jesus, he's such a fucking retard.
And
anyway.
we quote unquote think this is normal because it's what we know here. But if you if you have friends all over the country or enough people on Instagram, like, oh, hashtag just another day at drop off, they're in school. Plenty of people are living their lives, but we don't see it here.
What is so insanely unique about California that we can't open our schools? When I see the CNN map every morning and we're beige in a sea of a lot of red and orange, we've been flat, at least according to CNN and their color-coded state thing. What is so uniquely dangerous about opening schools in California that somehow doesn't apply to other states?
I was thinking the exact same thing with the beige and the it seemed like 48 of 47 of the states are red or orange, and we're beige, which is kind of hard to believe. But counterpoint, tell me what you think of this. Is that not because of the restrictions we've been under for the last few months?
I don't know.
What other explanation could there be?
Well, see, this is an interesting thing because this thing seems to be just cycling through countries and states in many different forms. And if you really start drilling down on the data, there isn't a straight line between lock it down and affected. There are places that were less affected that had more freedoms. There are places that were locked down that had a lot of problems. There's flare-ups in places that were locked down but then reopened. There's much less rhyme and reason when you look at countries, especially around the world, and states to this thing. It doesn't seem to follow a straight standard. Well, the places that wore the masks and locked down, big picture. So I don't know. And every place seems to be different. I don't know what is different about California. It seems to all kind of be just, we're looking at the map now. It seems a lot of it just seems to be luck and happenstance, and we're trying to make sense of it. But a lot of the data suggests kind of flies in the face. And in Europe as well, like they're places that were religious with the lockdown and religious with the masking. I think Italy was one of them, and they're going through a bunch of flare-ups and stuff now. So I don't know that anyone really has their mind wrapped around it. Here's my take. We have therapeutics. We know how to treat people. This is not a killer. For kids, it's really not a killer. It's like 99.9% whatever. As a matter of fact, I think recently the data has come out that it's more the flu is now more dangerous for kids than COVID-19. This is not a problem for kids. Fine, if you have an elderly home ec teacher, let Edna stay home. But we should reopen the schools, and we're starting to realize there's a big downside, a social downside, a financial downside, a depression downside, a substance abuse downside, a spousal abuse downside. And we're just going to have to, what I'm saying is this thing of like, we're going to lock it down and we're going to eradicate it. It's not proving to work around the world. I think we have therapeutics. They're much better than they were. And how, of course, they would have to be. We didn't know what the fuck was going on in March. Now you have a much greater likelihood of, if you get it, if you are hospitalized, of making it through that experience. And we're just going to have to responsibly open up the schools, open up Disneyland, and rely on possible herd immunity, but also rely on the therapeutics.
Well, just to sort of put a bow on this topic, so I don't have to get too deep into the next two stories. There are, to your point, one curfew fairly close to us and one starting a little farther away. Texas, they're going to have El Paso start having a curfew from 10 p.m. to 5 a.m.
Fucking libs.
That starts Sunday. Violators could be fined $500. They are having a surge, and they're afraid that they're going to be short a few hospital beds. Meanwhile, Spain is a real hot spot right now in Europe. Spanish government declared a national state of emergency. They're having a curfew from 11 p.m. to 6 a.m. That starts Sunday. That's likely to be in place for 6 months. And of course, this doesn't include, first responders or certain jobs or going out to, buy medicine or take care of a family member. But in general, they're also afraid of the hospitals being totally overwhelmed again.
Yeah. I'm not worried about it. I've been hearing about hospitals being overwhelmed for a long fucking time, and I haven't seen it here.
Well, it did happen in Italy, right? So I think Spain is looking more to them than to us.
How many hospital overwhelmed warnings have we had in the last 6 months versus...
We had 2 battleships sent here.
Right.
2 hospital ships.
Right, 2 hospital ships. I've also now known a few people who got it, sort of civilians and stuff, and it just some fared better than others, but they're all fine. I mean, it just cycled. And now that I wouldn't have wanted to get this thing in March, but I think we know a lot more now. All right, Gina, let's do one more.
All right. Well, people have been weighing in for a while now on cancel culture and the problems with it, but it's refreshing to have, I guess, comedians, people like Sarah Silverman now having the same conversation. She has a new podcast, and she talked about it, a recent podcast of hers, that victims of cancel culture deserve a, quote, path to redemption, and acknowledge all the problems with this progressive idea of canceling somebody's livelihood. She talked specifically about this longtime friend of hers that was kind of a neo-Nazi, and because he couldn't find love anywhere else, and warning the same thing could happen to people who are abandoned by the left. Here's a clip.
But without a path to redemption, when you take someone, you found a tweet they wrote 7 years ago or a thing that they said, and you expose it and you say, this person should be no more, banish them forever. They're going to find some place where they are accepted. And it's not going to be with progressives, which ironically means to be changed, progress. If we don't give these people a path to redemption, then they're going to go where they are accepted, which is the motherfucking dark side.
I don't know if I'm totally down with that theory, but I like the acceptance or the redemption part of it.
Well, I've said that a million times, that it's like, say for, whoever you want to be an ally with, like, let me be why are you banishing me out? I'm your ally. I am supporting you, and I used the wrong word, and now you don't want me in your group. So if I go talk to the people who hate you, would that make you happier? Or should you accept that there's a wider, more flexible swath of allies and people who support your cause?
This is why people have to get into cars. Because
get into the hobby of cars.
once you like cars, it's just like that's your group. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You hang around with car guys, you go to Cars and Coffee, you go do a vintage race, you spend your online time looking on Bring a Trailer. You know what I mean? Like, I look at people's tweets, but I don't spend any time on any political website or group websites. I do want to push back against this group thing. This is kind of a new thing. Like, everyone's got to join a group, and if you're thrown out of the progressive group, then you get into the neo-Nazi group, and if you're thrown out of the Nazi group, then you get into the Mexican lowrider group. Like, we're not in fucking prison. Does anyone feel like they're in a group? I mean, you have things you like. You have a team. You know, you went to a college. You root for that team, but. Isn't it weird to just, and it's a little condescending to think like everyone's getting into a group or needs to be? There's a lot of it out there, but how necessary is it? And why does everyone feel like, like as if Antifa or the Proud Boys like represented any significant, or the neo-Nazis or the white Hitler youth or white Aryan nation?
You could just say Hitler youth.
Yeah, there he is. Yeah, as if they represent
multi-ethnic Hitler youth.
Any numbers, the KKK or I don't know, the Black Panthers. Like they don't represent any real numbers in this country, but we talk about them constantly. I have no idea how many people are in the KKK. It's got to be a very small number from a percentage standpoint in this country. Why are we so obsessed with the group and the group everyone's entering? Why not make your family your group? You know, make your friends your group. Have your hobbies. You know, you like cooking or I like cars or whatever, and you get a little community there. But I like what she's saying about not casting people out of the progressive group by judging them. And I appreciate that, but I don't feel it's like latchkey kids with gangs. You know, I don't feel like they're going to be a Crip or Blood. I just think they'll be pissed at your group and call you a hypocrite.
That would be the more toned down likely version for sure. I think maybe I don't want to put words in her mouth. I have no idea. All in all, it was a 3-minute clip, but you know, when you get that outlier that feels ousted, and then that's the one that, you know, drives into a protest or shoots up a school.
Tim McVeigh was part of a group.
Okay.
Well,
yeah,
true.
they're groups. There are groups. Yes. But I feel like we talk about them more than they actually affect us. I feel like there's more talk, like the Proud Boys or Antifa or something. It's like, what are we really talking about here?
Right.
I mean, we talk and talk and talk about how many can actually be in that group. And don't join a group. Yeah, of course there's groups and everyone's look, you know, the Manson family was a group. It was a group of, you know, 18 horrible people. It was a group, but that's fine. That's going to exist. Cults exist, groups exist, gangs exist. I just don't think I think we're spending way too much time breaking down the game film. I think you get a hobby, you focus on your family, you get a life, you have a community, you have a team, and you get to fuck on with life. All right, let's bring it home, Gina Grad.
You got it. I'm Gina Grad, and that's the news.
Gina Grad.
That was the news with Gina Grad.
Last but not least, there is Geico. You want to save money on your auto insurance. You don't want to spend a whole bunch of time shopping around. Go to geico.com. Spend 15 minutes and find out just how much you could be saving on your auto insurance. 15% or more on car insurance just by spending a couple minutes at geico.com. That is geico.com. All right, theoretically, the president of the United States on tomorrow. We're working on that, but I think it's a go so far. So we got that to look forward to. I have a joke presentation for him. We shall see how that goes over.
He's going to fire you again.
So, Until next time, this is Adam Carolla. Oh, for Patrick Rosenstiel. I had a little misprint on here. Rosenstiel, Gina Grad, Bald Bryan saying mahalo.